This title is presented to you by Soundlibra.com. For more audiobooks like this, click the link in the description or visit our website at Soundlibra.com. Welcome to Recharge Your Life, Beat Burnout, Complete Recovery. We're talking about recognizing burnout signs.
Excited to get started, Alex. But real quick before we jump in, a quick heads up for everyone listening. While we're diving deep into wellness today, this content is for informational purposes only. It isn't medical advice, so please consult with a healthcare professional for your specific situation.
That's an important point, Lisa. Burnout is a serious state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by prolonged, excessive stress. Imagine pushing an engine too hard for too long. Eventually, it will overheat and break down. That's burnout.
That's a clear picture, Alex. Catching these early signs is vital before a complete breakdown happens. What are the key indicators someone might be heading toward burnout?
We can categorize burnout signs into emotional, physical, and behavioral. Emotionally, a common sign is cynicism or detachment from your work or responsibilities. You might just feel like you're going through the motions without any real passion.
So, instead of feeling good about what you're doing, you feel empty?
Exactly. You could also feel helpless and lose your sense of control, believing nothing will improve. This often leads to feeling overwhelmed and inadequate, even when you're performing well. Another sign is increased irritability and a shorter temper with everyone around you.
That makes sense. When you're depleted, your emotional reserves are low, and small things can trigger a big reaction. And what about the physical signs? People often connect burnout with physical exhaustion.
You're right, Lisa. Physical symptoms are a huge part of burnout. Chronic fatigue is a major one. It's a deep exhaustion that doesn't improve with sleep. You might also experience frequent headaches, muscle tension, and changes in appetite, eating more or less than usual.
I've heard about digestive issues too, stomach problems or changes in bowel habits. Is that common with burnout?
Yes, it definitely can be. Stress significantly impacts our gut, making digestive issues common. You might also notice a weakened immune system, leading to more frequent colds or infections. Sleep disturbances are another major physical symptom. It can be hard to fall asleep, stay asleep, or wake up feeling rested. It's a cycle. Burnout causes fatigue, which disrupts sleep, and lack of sleep worsens burnout.
It sounds like a challenging cycle to break. Now, you mentioned behavioral signs as well. How does burnout manifest in our actions?
Behaviorally, you might start withdrawing from social activities, declining invitations from friends, or skipping work lunches. You might find yourself procrastinating more, struggling to concentrate, or having difficulty making decisions. Your productivity can drop significantly, even on simple tasks.
So, you're not just feeling it, you're acting differently too. You're pulling back, struggling to focus, and not performing at your usual level.
Precisely. Increased reliance on unhealthy coping mechanisms is another behavioral indicator. This could include more alcohol or drug use, excessive caffeine, or comfort eating. You might also take more time off work or mentally check out when you are there. Even personal hygiene could start to slip.
Wow, when you lay it all out like that, it becomes very clear how pervasive burnout can be. It's not just one or two things. It's a constellation of signs affecting our emotions, bodies, and behaviors. So, Alex, for someone listening right now who's recognizing these signs in themselves, what should be their very first thought?
The first thought should be, this is a signal that I need to pay attention to my well-being. It's not a personal failing. It's your body and mind telling you that the current demands are unsustainable. The very first step is acknowledging these signs without judgment. You're not weak for experiencing burnout. You're human, and you've been pushing too hard for too long.
That's such an important point, to remove the shame and recognize it as a signal for change. So, we've identified the signs. What's the next step after this awakening?
In our next episode, we're going to delve deeper into why burnout happens. We'll explore its roots, looking beyond just being tired to understand the underlying causes. It's about understanding the context of your life and work that contributes to this state. This understanding is crucial for building an effective recovery plan.
So, if you're feeling cynical, exhausted, or detached, please know you're not alone. And more importantly, there is a path forward. We've covered the emotional signs like cynicism and helplessness, the physical signs like chronic fatigue and headaches, and the behavioral signs like withdrawal and procrastination. These are all signals it's time to pause and assess.
Burnout is a warning, not a destination. By recognizing these signs, you've already taken the first, most critical step towards recovery.
Join us next time as we truly begin to understand the roots of burnout and start building our personalized recovery blueprint. Next episode: Understanding Burnout's Roots Beyond Just Being Tired.
Welcome back. Last time we covered recognizing burnout signs. Now let's tackle its roots.
That's right, Alex. Last time we talked about the symptoms, the exhaustion, the cynicism, the reduced effectiveness. But it's so much more than just having a bad week at work, isn't it?
Absolutely, Lisa. Burnout isn't simply about being overworked. It's a state of chronic stress that has overwhelmed your ability to cope. It's a depletion of your emotional, mental, and physical resources. Think of it like a battery that's been drained so severely, it's struggling to hold any charge at all.
A drained battery. I like that analogy. So, what are the main factors contributing to this chronic stress, these roots of burnout you mentioned?
Well, there are several interconnected layers. We can look at societal pressures, workplace culture, and then, of course, personal habits. Let's start with the big picture, societal pressures.
Societal pressures? You mean like how we're constantly told to hustle and achieve?
Exactly. We live in a culture that often glorifies busyness and productivity. There's this pervasive idea that if you're not constantly working, achieving, or striving for more, you're somehow falling behind. This relentless pursuit of success, often defined by external markers like career advancement or material possessions, can create immense pressure.
It's like we're conditioned to believe our worth is tied to what we do, not who we are.
Precisely. And this often leads to ignoring our own needs. We push ourselves harder, sacrificing rest, personal time, and even our health, all in the name of progress. This constant drive can be a significant root of burnout because it creates an unsustainable pace of life.
So, the external message is always on, always producing, and we internalize that.
That's a great way to put it. Now, let's add to that a challenging workplace culture. Many work environments, even with the best intentions, can inadvertently contribute to burnout.
How so? I mean, some workplaces are great.
They can be, and it's important to acknowledge that. But often, we see issues like lack of role clarity, where employees aren't sure what's expected of them, leading to wasted effort or anxiety. Then there's a feeling of lack of control over one's work. When you have little say in how you do your job, when your tasks are assigned without your input, or when you lack autonomy, it chips away at your sense of agency.
That lack of control must be incredibly frustrating and draining.
It is, and it ties into another major factor, insufficient reward. This isn't just about salary, though that's important. It's about recognition, appreciation, opportunities for growth, and a sense of accomplishment. When you pour your energy into your work and feel that your efforts aren't acknowledged or valued, it can lead to feelings of resentment and demotivation, which are pathways to burnout.
So, it's not just about the paycheck, but feeling seen and appreciated for your contribution.
Exactly. And we also see a breakdown in community. When there's a lack of support from colleagues or supervisors, when there's conflict or a sense of isolation at work, it removes a crucial buffer against stress. Humans are social creatures, And this sense of connection is vital for our well-being.
That isolation can make everything feel much harder. And what about fairness? Is that a factor too?
Absolutely. Perceived unfairness, whether it's in workload distribution, promotion opportunities, or treatment by management, is a powerful stressor. When people feel they're being treated unjustly, it breeds cynicism and disengagement, classic signs of approaching burnout.
It sounds like a toxic combination. Societal pressure to be busy, combined with a workplace that might lack clarity, control, recognition, community, or fairness.
You've hit the nail on the head, Lisa. And on top of all that, we have to consider our personal habits. These are the things we might be doing, consciously or unconsciously, that exacerbate the problem.
Like pushing ourselves too hard even when we feel exhausted?
That's a big one. Not honoring our personal needs for rest and recovery. This can manifest as neglecting sleep, not taking breaks during the day, or working long hours even when it's not truly necessary. We often believe we can just power through any discomfort, but that's a recipe for disaster.
It's like ignoring a warning light on your car's dashboard. Eventually, something breaks.
A perfect analogy. Another personal habit is setting unclear or overly ambitious personal goals. While ambition is good, constantly setting the bar impossibly high or having goals that are not aligned with our values can lead to perpetual feelings of inadequacy and failure. This fuels the burnout cycle.
So, the goals themselves might be the problem, or our approach to them.
Precisely. And then there's the difficulty in saying no. Many people struggle with setting boundaries. They overcommit, taking on more than they can reasonably handle because they don't want to disappoint others or are afraid of missing out. This inability to protect one's time and energy is a direct highway to burnout.
That's something many of us struggle with, I think. Wanting to be helpful, but then ending up overwhelmed.
It's a common challenge. And finally, a lack of healthy coping mechanisms. When faced with stress, instead of engaging in activities that help us recharge, like exercise, hobbies, mindfulness, or spending time with loved ones, we might turn to unhealthy coping strategies like excessive screen time, avoidance, or even substance use. These temporary fixes don't address the root cause and can actually worsen burnout in the long run.
So, to recap the roots of burnout, we're looking at external societal pressures that glorify busyness, challenging workplace cultures that might lack role clarity, control, reward, community, or fairness, and then our own personal habits like neglecting rest, setting unrealistic goals, struggling with boundaries, and not having healthy coping strategies. It's a lot.
It truly is. And understanding these interconnected factors is the crucial first step. It's not just about feeling exhausted. It's about recognizing the chronic depletion caused by these relentless demands and a lack of adequate recovery. This deep understanding is what will empower us to build a personalized recovery blueprint.
And that's exactly what we'll be diving into next time.
Indeed. So remember, burnout is a complex issue with many contributing factors. By understanding its roots, you're already on your way to reclaiming your energy and well-being.
Next episode, your personalized burnout recovery blueprint, the foundation.
Welcome back. Last time, we explored burnout's deeper roots. Now, let's build your personalized recovery blueprint.
It's empowering to finally talk about the how-to of recovery, Alex. Laying the foundation feels so crucial.
Indeed, this foundation has two core pillars: self-acknowledgement and commitment. These are the bedrock of any transformation.
So, what are we exactly acknowledging with self-acknowledgement?
It's about truly accepting where you are without judgment. Recognize the physical, emotional, and mental toll. Be honest about your specific symptoms: fatigue, irritability, brain fog, loss of interest. Validate that they are real.
So, not pushing feelings away or telling ourselves to snap out of it?
Precisely. This acknowledgement is a powerful act. It validates your experience and removes shame. When you stop fighting reality, you free up energy for recovery.
Seeing the water, acknowledging the leak. What does that look like in practice?
Gentle self-inquiry. Ask yourself, how am I truly feeling? What's contributing most to overwhelm? How is burnout affecting my life? Observe your behaviors too.
Honest introspection, paying attention to signals. That's hard when we're used to just pushing forward.
You've hit on a key point. That leads to the second pillar, commitment. After acknowledging, commit to changing. This is a conscious decision to actively participate in your recovery.
Commitment. What does that entail?
It's a pact with yourself, a promise to prioritize well-being, even when it's difficult. Recovery is a journey, not an overnight fix. Commit to small, consistent steps.
So, acknowledgement is seeing the problem, and commitment is deciding to act, knowing it takes time.
Exactly. And this commitment must be personalized. What does recovery look like for you? What does well-being mean for your life? This is where your unique blueprint begins.
It's about creating a plan that honors our individuality.
Absolutely. The blueprint acknowledges that we're all unique. What triggers burnout in one person might not affect another. Your commitment is to discover what truly works for you.
Self-acknowledgement means seeing and accepting where we are. Commitment means promising to engage in the recovery process. These are like the sturdy roots of a tree.
A fantastic analogy. Without these roots, recovery strategies won't have a strong base. You might try intense exercise too soon if you haven't acknowledged your fatigue, leading to more exhaustion.
It's like building a house without a proper foundation. It becomes unstable.
Precisely. So, this week, focus on solidifying these foundations. Acknowledge your burnout state honestly. Make a genuine commitment to yourself to embark on your recovery journey.
So, to recap, we have self-acknowledgement, honestly recognizing and accepting your burnout state without judgment, and commitment, a conscious decision to prioritize your well-being and actively participate in your recovery. These two are the essential foundation.
Outstanding summary. Lisa, these elements create the fertile ground for healing. Next time, we'll build on this base by exploring the first structure protocols for recharging your energy.
Looking forward to it. Next episode, implementing recovery protocols, the first steps to recharging.
Welcome back. Last time, we laid the groundwork for your personalized burnout recovery blueprint. Now, let's put it into action.
Today, we're diving into implementing recovery protocols, the very first tangible steps to start recharging your life.
Burnout drains you physically and mentally. Our goal is to equip you with practical, manageable strategies for immediate physical and mental restoration. Think of these as your initial emergency measures.
So, where do we begin with these emergency measures?
The absolute first thing is addressing your physical well-being, sleep, nutrition, and gentle movement.
How do we make these feel less like monumental tasks when we're burnout?
By breaking them down. For sleep, focus on small improvements like consistent wake-up and sleep times. This is what we call sleep hygiene, creating good habits around sleep.
Sleep hygiene. So, it's about creating the conditions for better sleep over time. What else?
Create a relaxing bedtime routine. Wind down for an hour, avoid screens, and try reading or calming music to signal your brain it's time to transition into rest.
That makes sense. It's about creating a buffer zone between the day and night. What about nutrition?
Focus on whole, unprocessed foods, fruits, vegetables, lean proteins, and healthy fats. These provide sustained energy and nutrients. Avoid quick fixes like sugary snacks that cause energy crashes.
So, instead of a sugary snack, reach for fruit or nuts for lasting benefits. And gentle movement?
Light, intentional physical activity like a short walk or stretching. Even 5 to 10 minutes improves circulation, gets oxygen to your brain, and releases endorphins for mood boosting. Gently coax your body back to life.
So, for physical restoration, consistent sleep routines, nourishing whole foods, and gentle movement.
Exactly. Now, let's shift to mental and emotional restoration. Burnout causes cognitive fatigue, making it hard to concentrate. We need to give your mind a chance to rest.
Cognitive fatigue, that feeling of being unable to think straight. What strategies address that?
The first tool is mindfulness. Simply pay attention to the present moment without judgment. Gently guide your attention back to your breath when your mind wanders. It's like training a muscle.
So, it's not about stopping thoughts, but noticing them and returning focus.
That's a perfect way to put it. Another powerful tool is structured rest. This is intentional downtime, like a walk in nature or listening to a podcast unrelated to work, allowing your brain to process and recover.
Structure rest means actively choosing activities that let your mind disengage from stressors.
Precisely. And remember acknowledging your feelings. Suppressing emotions prolongs recovery. Give yourself permission to feel without judgment. Try journaling or talking to someone trusted.
That permission to feel is so important. We often push through difficult emotions thinking it's strength, but it hinders recovery.
It absolutely does. And then there's re-engaging with simple joys. Burnout strips pleasure from activities. Gently reintroduce things that used to bring you lightness, even if they feel less potent now.
Like listening to music or enjoying a slow cup of tea.
Yes, do these things without expectation. The goal is to reestablish a connection with positive experiences. It's like planting tiny seeds of joy.
Planting seeds of joy. I love that metaphor. So, for mental and emotional recovery, practice mindfulness, engage in structured rest, allow yourself to feel your emotions, and gently re engage with simple joys.
And these are protocols to implement consistently, the building blocks for sustainable change from your blueprint. Small wins build momentum.
By focusing on these immediate, manageable steps, we're actively working to reverse burnout.
Building on these foundations. Next time, we'll discuss the critical topic of setting boundaries to protect your energy and saying no effectively.
Setting boundaries. That's a crucial skill for long term well being. Stay with us for that discussion. For now, start implementing these first steps. You've got this. Thanks for listening.
Welcome back to Recharge Your Life. Last time, we dove into the foundational steps of your burnout recovery plan, focusing on those initial actions to start recharging your energy. Today, we're tackling a crucial skill that underpins all of that, the art of setting boundaries.
Boundaries. For so many of us, that word can feel a little intimidating, right? Like we're being selfish or difficult. But you're right, Alex, it's absolutely essential. Without them, we're just opening ourselves up to being drained all over again, even after we've made progress.
Exactly, Lisa. Think of your energy like a bank account. Every day, you have a certain amount of energy to spend. When you're constantly saying yes to things, taking on too much, or letting others infringe on your time and space, it's like constantly withdrawing from that account without making any deposits. Eventually, you're overdrawn, and that's burnout. Boundaries are the tools that help you manage those withdrawals and protect your deposits.
That's a great analogy. So, to start, why are boundaries so critical for burnout recovery specifically? It feels like we've already started putting some recovery protocols in place.
That's a perfect question to bring us back to what we've covered. Remember in episode 3, we talked about building your personalized recovery blueprint? A key part of that blueprint is creating sustainable habits. Without boundaries, any effort to create sustainable habits will falter. If your work schedule bleeds into your personal time every single day, you can't possibly implement those practices for true rest we'll discuss in episode 6, or reclaim your passions we'll explore in episode 7. Boundaries create the space needed for these other recovery elements to flourish.
So, boundaries aren't just about saying no to things we don't want to do. They're about actively creating the conditions for our recovery and well-being.
Precisely. They are protective fences around your time, energy, and emotional well-being. They communicate your limits to yourself and to others. And realistically, most people aren't intentionally trying to drain you. They just don't know your limits unless you've clearly communicated them. That communication is the core of setting boundaries.
Okay, so let's get practical. What are the different types of boundaries we should consider?
We can broadly categorize them into a few key areas. First, there are physical boundaries. This is about your personal space, your home, and even your workspace. For example, having a designated work area that you can leave at the end of the day, or not letting work calls intrude on your family dinner.
Right, like not checking emails on your phone after a certain hour, or having a no work talk rule during weekend family time.
Exactly. Then we have time boundaries. This is about how you allocate your hours and what you commit to. It's saying no to extra projects when your plate is full, or setting clear start and end times for your workday. It's about protecting your calendar from overcommitment.
This is where I often struggle. The fear of missing out, or the feeling that you should be available, can be really strong.
That's very common, and it ties into the next type, emotional boundaries. This is about protecting your emotional energy. It means not taking on other people's problems as your own, or not allowing yourself to be constantly drawn into drama. It's about recognizing where your responsibility ends and another person's begins.
So, if a colleague is venting endlessly about their personal issues, an emotional boundary might be listening for a short while and then gently redirecting or saying, I can listen for a few more minutes, but then I really need to get back to this task.
That's a fantastic example. You're acknowledging their need to be heard without letting it consume your emotional resources. And finally, we have material boundaries, which is about protecting your resources like money or possessions. In the context of burnout, it often relates to not overspending energy on tasks or commitments that don't align with your priorities or well-being.
So, to recap, we have physical, time, emotional, and material boundaries. These are like different rooms in our life that need protection.
You've got it. Now, the how of setting boundaries. This is where many people get stuck, often due to guilt or fear of conflict. The first step is often just self-awareness. You need to identify your own limits. What activities or requests drain you the most? When do you feel resentment building?
Keeping a journal, as we discussed in earlier episodes, can be really helpful here, noticing patterns in when you feel depleted.
Absolutely. Once you're aware, the next step is clear and direct communication. This is where the art really comes in. It doesn't need to be aggressive, but it needs to be assertive. Phrases like, I can't take that on right now, or my schedule is full for the next 2 weeks, are perfectly acceptable.
What about when people push back? That's the scary part.
That's a great point, and it highlights why boundaries are about protecting yourself, not controlling others. If someone isn't respecting your stated boundaries, you then need to reinforce them. This might mean repeating your boundary, or if necessary, limiting your interaction with that person or situation. It's about consistent action. Remember, your well-being is non-negotiable.
So, it's not a one and done thing. It's an ongoing practice.
Precisely. And often, we need to learn to say no gracefully but firmly. We previously talked about the recovery protocols for recharging. Imagine you have a limited number of yes credits each week for non-essential commitments. When you use them up, you have to say no to new requests. It's about intentionality.
It also sounds like we might need to reassess and adjust our boundaries as our life circumstances change.
That's a very insightful point. Boundaries are not static. What worked 6 months ago might not work today. It's about continuous evaluation and adaptation. And importantly, learning to set boundaries often requires us to disconnect from the idea that everyone will always be happy with our decisions. Our primary responsibility is to our own health and well-being.
This also relates back to workload management and prioritization, which we'll cover later. If your workload is consistently unmanageable, setting boundaries might involve delegating or renegotiating tasks rather than just saying, I'm too busy, can't do it.
Exactly. It's about being proactive and strategic. And when we talk about saying no, it's also about saying yes to ourselves, saying yes to rest, yes to our personal time, yes to our needs. Boundaries are the guardians of that essential yes to our own well-being.
So, to quickly summarize what we've covered, boundaries are essential for protecting our energy and creating space for recovery. We discussed four types: physical, time, emotional, and material. The process involves self awareness, clear communication, and consistent reinforcement. And importantly, boundaries are dynamic and require ongoing reassessment.
You've captured it perfectly, Lisa. Setting boundaries isn't about being difficult. It's about being healthy, sustainable, and ultimately more effective in all areas of your life. It's a fundamental skill for anyone looking to prevent burnout and build a life of lasting well-being.
So, what's next on our journey to a recharged life?
Next, we're diving into a topic that many people overlook but is absolutely critical for recovery: mastering the art of true rest beyond just sleep. You won't want to miss episode 6. Welcome back. Last time, we explored setting boundaries to protect your energy. Today, we're mastering true rest beyond just sleep.
That's so true, Alex. I thought rest meant just collapsing into bed, but it rarely made me feel refreshed. My brain was still buzzing.
Exactly. Burnout doesn't just steal energy, it steals our ability to rest effectively. We'll explore different dimensions of rest essential for recovery. Think of it as a multivitamin for well-being.
A multivitamin. I like that. So, if more sleep isn't the answer, what is? What does true rest encompass?
Great question. True rest meets all the needs your nervous system has to unwind. Sleep is vital, but it's only one piece. There are several key types of rest we often neglect in burnout. We can categorize them into 7 types.
7 types? Wow. Can you walk us through them?
Absolutely. First, physical rest. This is what most people think of: actively allowing your body to relax and recuperate. Sleeping, napping, or simply lying down to reduce physical exertion and allow your body to repair.
Okay, so that's getting off your feet or a power nap. That makes sense. What's next?
Next is sensory rest. Our world bombards us with stimuli: screens, noise, notifications, bright lights. Sensory rest means intentionally reducing input to your senses. Dimming lights, turning off notifications, listening to quiet music, or closing your eyes in a quiet space. It's a break for your eyes and ears from the barrage.
I can definitely see how that would be helpful. I often feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information and noise. So, sensory rest is like a digital detox for our senses.
Precisely. And that leads us to mental rest. This is about quieting the mental chatter, the endless to-do lists, worries, and critical self-talk. Mental rest gives your mind a break from constant thinking and problem solving. Mindfulness, meditation, or journaling can help declutter the mind and create calm.
This is where I struggle. My brain feels like an overactive hamster wheel. How do you actually quiet that down?
It's a practice. For mental rest, even a few minutes of focused breathing helps. Or engaging in a simple, repetitive activity like knitting or a puzzle offers respite. The key is to disengage from your usual mental workload.
So, it's not about stopping thinking, but shifting to less demanding thinking or a non thinking state.
Exactly. Then we have emotional rest. This is about allowing yourself to feel emotions without judgment and liberating yourself from the emotions of others. In burnout, we suppress feelings or absorb negativity. Emotional rest creates space to process feelings safely, and setting boundaries prevents emotional overload.
That's a really important point. I think sometimes we feel we have to be strong and don't allow ourselves to feel, or we take on other people's burdens.
It's a common trap. Now, building on this, let's consider creative rest. This is about tapping into your imagination and allowing yourself to be inspired and playful. Burnout stifles creativity. Creative rest involves activities that spark imagination, like listening to music, visiting an art gallery, or spending time in nature.
So, it's about reigniting that sense of wonder and possibility. I guess that's why stepping away from a problem and doing something different can lead to breakthroughs.
Precisely. Your subconscious mind keeps working, but less pressured. Next up is social rest. This is about connecting with people in a way that energizes you rather than drains you. For some, it's quality time with loved ones. For others, it's solitude. It's choosing social interactions consciously so they nourish you.
This is a big one for me. I used to think I had to be social, but large gatherings left me depleted. Learning to say no and yes to quiet time with a friend felt like a revelation.
And that's a perfect demonstration of social rest. Our final type of rest is spiritual rest. This is about connecting with your sense of purpose, meaning, or the deeper values that guide you. It's about feeling connected to something larger than yourself. This could be through meditation, nature, volunteering, or activities aligning with your core beliefs.
So, to recap, we have physical rest for our bodies, sensory rest from overstimulation, mental rest from constant thinking, emotional rest from processing feelings, creative rest for imagination, social rest for energizing connections, and spiritual rest for a sense of purpose. That's a comprehensive picture.
It really is. Burnout often leaves us deficient in multiple areas of rest. We might sleep technically, but that doesn't address sensory, mental, or emotional depletion. True recovery involves intentionally integrating various forms of rest.
This is so helpful. It's like realizing just going to the gym, physical rest, isn't enough if your mind is racing, you're bombarded by notifications, and you feel emotionally drained. You need to address all these layers.
Exactly. And remember, this directly builds on the boundaries we discussed. Setting boundaries is essential for making space for these different types of rest. If you don't protect your time and energy, it's hard to implement these rest strategies. For example, boundaries around weekends can give you the mental space for creative rest or quiet time for social rest.
So, we've talked about identifying different types of rest and how boundaries create the space for them. The next step is how do we actually do this? How do we weave these different kinds of rest into our lives?
That's precisely what we'll tackle in our next episode. We'll start reclaiming the pieces of yourself that burnout has stolen, beginning with reigniting your passions and hobbies. You won't want to miss it.
Next episode, reclaiming your passions, reigniting hobbies and joy.
Welcome back. Last time, we covered the vital importance of true rest. Now, let's tackle reclaiming your passions.
When burnout hits, the things we used to love can feel like too much effort. It's like the fun switch is broken.
Burnout steals enthusiasm, leaving you feeling flat. We focus on survival, forgetting what truly nourishes our souls.
So, how do we find that spark again? What are the first steps to reigniting passions?
First, Acknowledge that your passions are important. They are vital to your identity and a key component of a joyful life. Engaging in what you love gives you energy.
Yes, it's a deeper, more satisfying vitality that makes you feel like yourself again.
That feeling is crucial. To reclaim passions, consciously invite them back. Start with small, intentional steps.
Can you give us examples of these small steps?
If you love playing guitar, pick it up for 5 minutes. Just hold it or strum a chord. That reestablishes a connection. Read one page of a book. Spend 5 minutes with your plants if you love gardening.
So it's about lowering the bar significantly at first, making it feel achievable?
Exactly. Think of restarting a delicate engine. A gentle nudge, a little fuel. The goal is re-engagement, not peak performance.
And what if old passions don't spark joy anymore? Is it okay to explore new ones?
Emphatically yes. Burnout shifts our perspective. It's an opportunity to discover what excites you now. Explore new skills or creative pursuits you've dreamed of.
So, it's about being open to evolution and growth, letting your interests lead you.
Absolutely. It's about reconnecting with your authentic self. Follow your curiosity. It's a powerful driver of engagement, the opposite of burnout's apathy.
This ties back to setting boundaries, saying this time is for me, doesn't it?
Reclaiming passions is self-care and a powerful form of boundary setting. Carve out time for activities not tied to obligation. These feed your spirit and protect you from depletion.
It's like creating little pockets of delight throughout your week, little moments just for you.
These pockets of delight reduce stress, improve mood, and boost creativity. These benefits ripple outwards, enhancing your capacity to handle other areas of your life.
To recap, burnout diminishes interest in loved activities. We reclaim passions by acknowledging their importance and starting with small, low pressure interactions.
And if old passions don't feel right, that's perfectly fine. Explore new interests instead. Follow your curiosity. Treat activities that bring you joy as vital nourishment for your well-being.
Protecting time for your passions is boundary setting that supports recovery. It's about rediscovering what makes you feel alive outside of your work entirely.
It's about reigniting that inner spark. Engaging in your passions is incredibly restorative. It reminds you of who you are beyond your roles and responsibilities. It's vital for a resilient, joyful life.
This makes the recovery process feel more holistic and deeply personal.
Burnout recovery is about cultivating the positive. Reigniting your passions is a powerful way to do that. Make space for joy, creativity, and simply being yourself.
And that leads us perfectly into our next episode. We've talked about resting, setting boundaries, and reclaiming passions. Next time, we'll start designing a sustainable career.
Indeed, in episode 8, we'll explore how to find more fulfillment and balance in your work, building on the personal recharge strategies we've discussed.
So, a big focus on professional sustainability next time.
That's right. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to Recharge Your Life. Last time, we dove deep into reclaiming your passions and reigniting hobbies, which is so crucial for joy. Today, we're shifting our focus directly to the workplace. We're talking about designing a career that's not just sustainable, but genuinely fulfilling.
That's such an important topic, Alex. I think a lot of people feel stuck in careers that unintentionally contribute to burnout because they aren't aligned with who they are or what they truly value. It's easy to just keep going, but you're right. We need to actively design for sustainability.
Exactly. Burnout often stems from a misalignment between your work, your energy, and your core values. So, step one in designing a sustainable career is identifying that core. What truly matters to you? And I'm not just talking about your job title or salary.
That's a great starting point. So, it's about introspection. What kind of impact do you want to make, even in small ways? What kind of environment helps you thrive? What kind of tasks energize you versus drain you?
Precisely. Think about it like this. Burnout is a warning light. It's telling you something is fundamentally out of sync. A sustainable career, on the other hand, acts like a well-tuned engine, running smoothly and efficiently because all its parts are working in harmony with the overall purpose.
I love that analogy. It's not about gritting your teeth and pushing through. It's about creating conditions where you can genuinely contribute and feel good about it. So, once we've identified our core values and what energizes us, what's the next step in this design process?
The next step is to honestly assess your current situation. Are you in a role or an industry that even allows for that alignment? Sometimes, the answer might be that your current role can be tweaked. Other times, it might mean a more significant pivot. We learned about setting boundaries in episode 5, and that applies here too. Are you setting clear boundaries around your work to protect your energy? And are those boundaries respected in your current role?
That's a tough question for many, I'm sure. It's easy to say set boundaries, but harder to implement them when you feel pressure or insecurity. But you're right, a career that constantly demands you break down your own boundaries isn't sustainable.
It really isn't. And this is where we start to design for fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from a sense of purpose, contribution, and growth. So, let's break down how to seek that within your career. First, explore the meaning in your work. Even seemingly mundane tasks can have a larger purpose. Who benefits from what you do? How does your work contribute to a larger goal, whether it's for your company, your clients, or society?
That's a powerful reframing. It's easy to get lost in the daily to-do list and forget the why. So, finding the meaning is about connecting your daily actions to a bigger picture. What else contributes to fulfillment?
Contribution. Are you being utilized for your strengths? Are you able to use your unique skills and talents in a way that feels valuable? We all want to feel competent and effective. A sustainable career leverages your strengths, rather than constantly asking you to perform in areas where you struggle or find no joy.
So, it's about playing to your strengths. Instead of feeling like you have to be a jack of all trades, a sustainable career lets you excel in what you do best. This also means seeking opportunities for growth, right?
Absolutely. Growth is a huge component of fulfillment. This doesn't always mean climbing the corporate ladder. It could mean learning new skills, taking on new responsibilities, or deepening your expertise in a particular area. A static career, one where you feel like you're not learning or developing, can also lead to stagnation and eventually burnout. Imagine a plant that's never repotted or given new soil. It just stops growing.
That's a perfect visual. So we're looking for meaning, contribution, and growth. And all of this needs to be integrated with the boundary setting and rest techniques we've discussed earlier.
Precisely. It's a holistic approach. Now, let's talk about practical strategies for actually designing this. If your current role isn't a good fit, what are your options? First, internal change. Can you have a conversation with your manager about shifting responsibilities? Can you volunteer for projects that align more with your interests? This requires clear communication and a willingness to articulate what you're looking for.
And that conversation can be intimidating. What if your manager isn't receptive?
That's a valid concern. If internal change isn't possible, or if the organizational culture itself is a major part of the problem, then it might be time to consider external change. This could mean looking for a new role within a different department, a different company, or even a different field entirely. This is where careful planning becomes essential. It's not about impulsively quitting, but about strategically identifying opportunities that better match your values and needs.
So, it's about proactive planning. Instead of waiting until you're completely drained, you're actively looking for roles that will energize you. How does one go about finding those opportunities?
Networking is key here, and not just for job hunting. It's about connecting with people in fields or roles that interest you. Informational interviews are invaluable. You can ask people about their day-to-day work, what they find fulfilling, and what challenges they face. This gives you a realistic glimpse into different career paths. Also, reflect on the why behind your current career. Were there initial passions that got sidelined? Sometimes, reconnecting with those early interests can illuminate a path forward. Remember our episode on reigniting passions? This is where that foundation pays off.
That makes so much sense. It's about bringing intentionality to our career choices, rather than just letting things happen to us. So, to recap the keys to designing a sustainable and fulfilling career, identify your core values and what energizes you, honestly assess your current role for alignment and the potential for growth, and then actively seek opportunities for meaning, contribution, and learning. This might involve internal adjustments or strategic external moves.
That's a fantastic summary, Lisa. And remember, this is an ongoing process. Your values and priorities may evolve over time, so regularly checking in with yourself is crucial. A sustainable career isn't a destination. It's a continuous practice of alignment and intentional design. It requires conscious effort, but the reward is a professional life that fuels you rather than depletes you.
It sounds like true well being in our professional lives is entirely achievable with the right mindset and strategies. And this connects so well with workload management, which we'll be diving into next episode.
Exactly. Because once you have a career designed for sustainability, the next step is mastering the practicalities of managing your workload within that framework, ensuring that it doesn't creep back into burnout territory.
Wonderful. So, join us next time as we explore practical strategies for workload management and prioritization.
See you then. Welcome back to Recharge Your Life. Last time, we explored designing a fulfilling career.
Today, we're diving into workload management and prioritization to prevent burnout and maintain well being. How do we tackle tasks and feel in charge?
Taking control starts with a shift from reacting to actively managing. We need to understand what needs to be done, its importance, and its deadline. It's about moving beyond simply reacting to what's loudest.
That makes sense. But when you're staring at a mountain of tasks, where do you even begin to climb? It can feel overwhelming.
The key is to make those tasks feel manageable. Break down large projects or overwhelming to-do items into smaller, more actionable steps. Think of it like sorting individual puzzle pieces instead of trying to assemble the entire picture at once. This makes them less daunting and also gives you little wins along the way as you complete each small piece. I like to call this the digestible chunk method.
Digestible chunks. That really does make tasks feel more achievable. So, we break them down. What's the next step in getting them done efficiently?
Once we have our tasks broken down, we need to prioritize them. A really useful tool for this is the Eisenhower matrix. It helps you categorize your tasks based on two factors, urgency and importance.
The Eisenhower matrix. That sounds like a structured way to think about it. How does it work?
You divide your tasks into four quadrants. First, tasks that are both urgent and important. These need to be done now. Second, tasks that are important but not urgent. These are crucial for long-term goals and well-being, so we need to schedule them. Third, tasks that are urgent but not important. These often feel pressing but don't contribute significantly to our goals, so we should aim to delegate them or minimize their impact. And finally, tasks that are neither urgent nor important. These are the ones we should aim to eliminate.
So, the real takeaway here is to focus our energy on those important but not urgent tasks to prevent future crises and promote proactive growth, rather than just constantly putting out fires.
Precisely. It's about deciding where to invest your limited time and energy for the greatest impact. Now, with prioritization in place, let's talk about one of the biggest hurdles for many, procrastination.
Procrastination. That constant battle with ourselves. So often, it stems from perfectionism or a fear of failure, doesn't it?
It absolutely can. To combat this, we can employ a few different strategies. For very quick tasks, often called micro tasks, the 2-minute rule is fantastic. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. For larger items, try time blocking, which means dedicating specific, uninterrupted blocks of time in your schedule to focus solely on that task. Or consider the strategy of eat the frog.
Eat the frog. I like that one. It's certainly memorable.
It is. And the concept is simple. Tackle your most challenging or dreaded task first thing in the morning, when your energy and focus are often at their peak. By getting the hardest thing out of the way, the rest of the day feels significantly easier.
Eat the frog. Tackling the biggest, ugliest bug first, so everything else seems simpler. That's a great visual. And it ties back to respecting our energy levels.
Exactly. It's crucial to be realistic about your personal energy and focus cycles throughout the day. And when managing workload, we absolutely have to integrate rest and breaks as a fundamental part of the management strategy, not as an interruption to it. Think of them as essential maintenance.
So, to recap, we break big tasks into smaller, manageable, digestible chunks. We use the Eisenhower matrix to prioritize, focusing on important, but not urgent tasks for long-term success. We combat procrastination with techniques like the 2-minute rule for quick wins and time blocking for focused work. And we tackle our most daunting tasks first with the eat the frog method, always being mindful of our energy and building in essential rest.
That's a perfect summary, Lisa. These strategies empower you to regain control over your workload, significantly reduce stress, and work smarter, not just harder. They help create a sustainable rhythm that actively supports your overall well-being.
It really sounds like a way to move from feeling overwhelmed to feeling empowered and in charge of your day. It's about creating the necessary space for what truly matters, both professionally and personally.
Indeed, we've built a strong foundation for managing your energy and tasks. Next time, we're going to broaden our scope even further.
We'll begin looking at the bigger picture of designing a truly sustainable life, showing how to integrate all these principles we've discussed into your everyday existence.
Join us for episode 10, Designing a Sustainable Life, Integrating Work and Well-Being. Welcome back. Last time we covered managing workload and prioritizing tasks. Now let's tackle designing a sustainable life.
That's right, Alex. We learned about setting clear goals and breaking them down into manageable steps. It was all about reclaiming your time and energy by being more intentional with your work.
And that intentionality is exactly what we're building on today. Because while mastering work is crucial for beating burnout, it's only one piece of the puzzle. Today, we're shifting our focus from just designing a sustainable career to designing a sustainable life. We're talking about truly integrating work with your personal well-being.
That sounds like the holy grail, doesn't it? A life where work nourishes you rather than depletes you, and it fits seamlessly with everything else that's important.
Exactly. And it's not about achieving a perfect 50-50 split. It's about creating a dynamic harmony, an integration where the different parts of your life can coexist and even support each other. We've touched on this before, but today we're consolidating those ideas into a cohesive life design.
So, we're moving beyond just the professional realm and looking at the whole picture. What does this holistic approach involve?
It involves recognizing that our personal well-being isn't a luxury. It's a fundamental necessity. And the practices we've discussed, setting boundaries and mastering true rest, are even more critical when we think about integrating all aspects of our lives. Remember when we talked about boundaries in episode 5?
Oh, absolutely. That was all about saying no to things that drain us and yes to protecting our energy. We learned that boundaries aren't walls to keep people out, but rather lines to help us manage our own resources.
Precisely. And in a sustainable life, those boundaries extend beyond just your work hours. They help define the spaces for your personal life, your relationships, your hobbies, and your rest. They create the guardrails that prevent the demands of work from encroaching on your recovery and your joy.
So, if work is spilling into every corner of my life, strong boundaries are the first step in reclaiming space for myself. What else?
The second core element is mastering true rest, which we explore in episode 6. Beyond just sleep, true rest is about activities that genuinely restore your physical, mental, and emotional energy. When you're designing a sustainable life, you need to intentionally schedule these restorative practices.
It's not just about being able to rest, but actively making it happen. I remember us talking about different types of rest: passive rest, active rest, creative rest. We need to integrate those into our lives deliberately.
Exactly. Think of it like this. If your career is the engine of your life, then your personal well-being, with healthy boundaries and true rest, is the quality fuel and the regular maintenance that keeps that engine running smoothly for the long haul. Without them, the engine will eventually break down.
That's a great analogy, Alex. It really drives home the point that these aren't optional extras, they're essential components. So, how do we practically integrate these? Where do we start?
We start by creating a life map, not just a career path. This involves identifying your core values and what truly brings you meaning outside of work. What are your non-negotiables for happiness and fulfillment?
For me, those might be spending quality time with my family, pursuing my gardening hobby, and ensuring I have time for my morning mindfulness practice. These are things that make me feel like myself, outside of my professional identity.
Perfect examples. Now, how do we weave those into your weekly structure? It's about conscious scheduling. If family time is a core value, you don't wait for it to magically happen. You block out time for it, just as you would a crucial work meeting.
So, almost treating your personal life with the same level of importance and commitment as your professional obligations. That feels like a significant mindset shift.
It is, and it's essential for sustainability. This integration also means being mindful of your energy levels throughout the day and week. We discussed workload management, but now we're applying it to life as a whole. Schedule demanding activities when you have the most energy and buffer in time for less demanding, restorative activities.
So, if I know Wednesdays are usually tough for me, I might schedule my most energizing personal activities for Tuesday evening or Thursday morning, rather than trying to force them when I'm already depleted.
You've got it. And this also involves creating intentional transitions between different parts of your life. Think about how you move from your workday to your evening. Is it a jarring switch, or do you have a ritual?
Mine is usually pretty jarring. It's a mad dash to pick up the kids, and then it's just a continuous cycle of dinner, homework, and bedtime. There's not much of a buffer.
That's a common experience, and it's an area where we can make powerful changes. A simple transition ritual could be a short walk after work, listening to a calming playlist, or even just taking 5 minutes to meditate or stretch before diving into family responsibilities. It signals to your brain that one phase is ending and another is beginning.
That makes so much sense. It's like mentally closing the door on work so you can fully open the door to your personal life. And I can see how this integration naturally reinforces those boundaries we talked about earlier.
Absolutely. When you prioritize your personal time and protect it with intentional scheduling and transition rituals, you're inherently reinforcing your boundaries. You're showing yourself and others that your well-being is a vital part of your life, not just an afterthought.
So, we're talking about designing a life that has structure and intentionality, but also flexibility and space for joy and rejuvenation. It sounds like a continuous process of fine tuning.
It really is. Designing a sustainable life isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing practice. It requires self-awareness, a willingness to experiment, and the courage to make adjustments as needed. It's about constantly checking in with yourself. Does this integration serve me? Is this life nourishing me?
And we've built up so many tools and strategies over this series to help us with that constant check-in. We've learned about recognizing burnout, understanding its roots, creating recovery blueprints, setting boundaries, resting deeply, reclaiming passions, designing careers, and managing workloads. All these elements come together now.
They really do. Today's episode is about bringing all those threads together into a woven fabric of a balanced and fulfilling life. It's about ensuring that the energy and focus you bring to your work are sustained by a strong foundation of personal well-being.
So, to recap, designing a sustainable life involves first, acknowledging that personal well being is not secondary, but integral to a sustainable existence. Second, reinforcing strong personal boundaries to protect your energy and time, preventing work from overwhelming other life areas. And third, deliberately integrating activities that promote true rest and rejuvenation, treating them with the same importance as professional commitments. We're also creating intentional transitions and continuously checking in with ourselves to ensure our lives are nourishing us.
That's a fantastic summary, Lisa. And all these practices are paving the way for what we'll discuss next. Because even with the most well-designed life, challenges will arise.
So, what's on the agenda for episode 11?
In episode 11, we'll be focusing on building resilience and preventing relapse. We'll look at how to develop the inner strength to bounce back from setbacks and maintain your hard-won balance over time.
Fantastic. That sounds like a crucial step in making this recovery journey a lasting one. Thank you, Alex.
Thanks for listening. Welcome back. Today, we're building resilience and preventing burnout relapse.
It's incredible to believe we're nearing the end of our series, Alex. We've explored so much, from recognizing burnout to designing a more balanced life. Now, the focus is on making that recovery endure.
Exactly, Lisa. All the work on understanding burnout's causes, creating your recovery plan, setting boundaries, and embracing true rest has built a strong foundation. But life inevitably presents challenges, and how we navigate them determines if we revert to old habits or continue progressing. This episode is about reinforcing that foundation.
So, it's about more than just recovering. It's about creating a defense against future stress.
Precisely. Resilience is our capacity to bounce back, or even to adapt and grow stronger when faced with difficulties. Preventing relapse means having strategies in place before stress becomes overwhelming. It's about being proactive.
So, where do we begin building this resilience? What are the core components?
We'll explore a few key areas, many of which we've already introduced. First, let's revisit mindset mastery. Remember our discussions on shifting your perspective? This becomes critical for resilience. Instead of seeing challenges as personal failures, try to view them as opportunities for learning and growth.
That's a challenging shift when you're feeling swamped. It can feel like, oh, great, another problem. How do you actively encourage that positive, learning-focused mindset?
It requires practice. One effective method is reframing negative thoughts. When a stressful situation arises, instead of immediately thinking, "This is a disaster," ask yourself, "What can I learn from this?" Or, "What's one small step I can take to tackle this?" This simple rephrasing guides your brain from panic towards problem solving. We also learned about recognizing your triggers. Knowing which situations or feelings tend to lead you towards stress is your initial defense.
Yes. Identifying those early warning signs. So if I know a specific type of email always makes me anxious, I can prepare myself or perhaps allocate specific time to handle those emails.
Exactly. You're enhancing your awareness. Another essential element of resilience is strong coping mechanisms. These are the healthy ways you've learned to manage stress, which we examined thoroughly.
I'm thinking about our episodes on truly understanding rest and setting boundaries. Those seem like fundamental coping strategies. Taking genuine breaks and saying no when needed.
Absolutely. Rest is more than just sleep. It's engaging in activities that truly restore you. And boundaries are essential for protecting your energy. These aren't optional enhancements. They are core elements of your resilience toolkit. Think of them as your personal power-ups, ready to be activated. Alongside these, developing problem-solving skills is key. When a challenge appears, break it down into smaller, manageable steps. Instead of facing a mountain, you're addressing a series of smaller hills.
That makes sense. It feels less daunting. And what about our social connections? We touched on them when discussing burnout's origins, but I feel they play a significant role in resilience too.
You're absolutely right, Lisa. Building and maintaining a robust support system is incredibly important. Having people you can talk to who understand and offer encouragement can make a significant difference. This isn't just about having acquaintances. It's about fostering meaningful connections where you feel seen and supported.
So, actively nurturing those relationships. It's not just about seeking help when things are difficult, but about consistent engagement.
Precisely. Regular check-ins, participating in shared activities, simply being present for each other. This acts as a buffer during challenging times. And speaking of proactive strategies, regular self-assessment is vital.
Self assessment? Like checking in with myself periodically to gauge how I'm feeling?
Yes, dedicate a few minutes each week, perhaps during your reflection time, to honestly assess your stress levels, your energy, and how well you're sticking to your self-care practices. Are you noticing those familiar hints of burnout returning? This isn't about judgment. It's about gathering information so you can adjust your course before a full relapse occurs.
It sounds so straightforward, but our habit is to push through and ignore those hints until they become loud demands.
It's human nature. That's why we need to make this an intentional effort. We also need to cultivate adaptability. Life is inherently unpredictable. Be open to new approaches and ready to adjust when circumstances change. Rigidity can pave the way for burnout. Think of a willow tree bending in the wind versus an old oak that might break under pressure.
That's a great comparison. The willow bends, survives, and thrives, while the rigid oak may fracture under stress.
Exactly. And finally, let's discuss mindfulness and self-compassion. Regularly practicing mindfulness through meditation or simply being present in the moment can help you observe your thoughts and emotions without being overwhelmed by them. And self-compassion means treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a close friend who is struggling. It counteracts self-criticism, which greatly intensifies burnout.
So, to summarize our points on building resilience and preventing relapse, we have mindset mastery, which includes reframing thoughts and recognizing triggers. Then, strong coping mechanisms like rest and boundaries. We also discuss social support systems, regular self assessment, cultivating adaptability, and finally, mindfulness and self compassion. That's quite a comprehensive set of tools.
It truly is. And the wonderful aspect is that we've been establishing the groundwork for all of these throughout the series. This episode focuses on consolidating them and understanding their ongoing significance. Preventing relapse isn't a one-time solution. It's a continuous commitment to nurturing your well-being.
It's like tending a garden. You plant the seeds, you water them, you care for them, and you keep it free of weeds. You don't just walk away after the initial planting.
A perfect analogy, Lisa. And as we approach our final episodes, remember that building resilience and maintaining recovery is an ongoing journey. It's about integrating these practices into your daily life so they become second nature. You've gained so much knowledge, and you have the power to sustain this progress.
It feels empowering to know we have these strategies available. It's not about avoiding stress entirely, which is impossible, but about building the capacity to handle it without compromising our well-being.
Precisely. You're not just recovering, you're becoming stronger and more capable of navigating life's ups and downs. Next episode, we'll be focusing on your ongoing recharge plan, looking at how to maintain this momentum for the long haul.
That sounds like an excellent transition to our conclusion.
Indeed. So, keep practicing those resilience building techniques, nurture your support systems, and remember to be kind to yourself. We'll continue this journey next time. Welcome back. Last time we discussed building resilience and preventing relapse. Now let's focus on your ongoing recharge plan.
It's fantastic to be this far into the series, Alex. This topic couldn't be more important. We've learned so much about burnout and recovery, but how do we make sure it lasts? How do we build a life that prevents burnout from returning?
That's the million-dollar question, Lisa. This episode is about creating sustainable habits and your personal roadmap for lasting well-being. We'll weave together everything we've discussed, recognizing signs, recovery protocols, boundaries, rest, hobbies, and designing a supportive life and career. Think of it as solidifying your personal recovery blueprint.
So, it's about combining all the tools we've gained into a cohesive, ongoing strategy for living a burnout-free life. It's a lifestyle, not a quick fix.
Precisely. Remember our first episode where we discussed recognizing the subtle signs of burnout? Those early warning signals are still your most valuable allies. Your ongoing recharge plan begins with a commitment to observing your body and mind. What are your personal indicators? Are you feeling unusually tired? Is your patience running thin? Are you losing interest in things you once loved?
Those are crucial reminders. For me, it's often a dread of the coming week on Sunday evenings, or becoming irritable over minor things. It's my internal alarm system.
Exactly. Your plan needs to acknowledge those alarms. It involves building in regular check-ins with yourself. This isn't a rigid schedule, but a consistent practice. Imagine it like essential maintenance for your car. You don't wait for engine trouble. You perform regular checks to prevent issues. These check-ins could be a few moments of quiet reflection each morning or a dedicated hour weekly to review your feelings and needs.
An oil change for my inner engine. I love that analogy. So, consistent self-awareness is a key part of the ongoing plan. What else is vital for keeping burnout at bay long term?
Boundaries, Lisa, as we discussed in episode 5. Boundaries are more than just saying no to others. They're about saying yes to yourself and your well-being. Your ongoing plan must include clear, non-negotiable boundaries. This might mean setting specific work hours and adhering to them, or designating certain times as off-limits for work communications. It's about creating protected personal space.
And it's something we have to actively maintain, not just set and forget. Others might test those boundaries, or we might let them slide ourselves when we feel pressured.
Absolutely. So, in your ongoing plan, schedule time to reinforce your boundaries. Remind yourself why they are important. You might even share them again with key people in your life. Remember, each time you uphold a boundary, you strengthen your ability to prevent burnout. It's like building a muscle.
That makes perfect sense. It's a continuous practice of advocating for yourself.
And speaking of continuous practices, let's talk about rest. Episode 6 explored the difference between just sleeping and true rest. Your ongoing plan needs to actively include forms of rest beyond sleep. This could be mindfulness, spending time in nature, engaging in light physical activity, or simply allowing yourself quiet downtime without any demands.
I still recall the distinction you made between doing rest and being rest. We get so caught up in our to-do lists that even our rest can feel like another task to accomplish.
Precisely. So, in your ongoing plan, intentionally schedule being rest. Perhaps it's a daily 5-minute meditation or a walk around the block where you focus on your surroundings, not your worries. These small moments of genuine rest accumulate and build your resilience.
So, We have self-awareness, strong boundaries, and intentional rest. What about the joy factor? We talked about reclaiming passions in episode 7.
That's a vital piece of the puzzle for an ongoing recharge plan. Life cannot be all work and obligations. You need to actively cultivate joy. This means making time for hobbies, creative pursuits, or anything that genuinely lights you up. Think of these not as luxuries, but as essential components of your well-being.
It's about feeding your soul, right? Not just your basic needs.
Exactly. So, your ongoing plan should include specific activities related to your passions. It could be dedicating an hour each week to painting, playing an instrument, gardening, or anything that brings you fulfillment. And don't just think about doing it, think about the feeling it gives you. This emotional and mental nourishment is a powerful buffer against burnout.
This is starting to sound like a really well-rounded, sustainable life. We've covered the signs, boundaries, rest, and passion. What about the bigger picture? Our career and workload.
This brings us to episodes 8 and 9, where we discuss designing a sustainable career and mastering workload management. Your ongoing plan needs to reflect these principles in practice. This means regularly evaluating your workload. Are you consistently overloaded? Are there tasks that could be delegated or eliminated? Are you using effective prioritization strategies to ensure you're working on what truly matters?
I think for many people, this is where the reevaluation needs to happen most consistently. It's easy to fall back into old patterns of overcommitment or poor delegation.
It is. So, within your ongoing recharge plan, build in regular reviews of your workload and career alignment. This could be a monthly review of your projects and tasks, focusing on efficiency and impact. It's about being proactive, not reactive. Are you finding fulfillment in your work, or is it draining you? If it's draining you, what small adjustments can you make to steer it back towards sustainability?
So, it's about making conscious choices about how we spend our time and energy, both in our careers and in our lives.
Precisely. And that leads us to episode 10, Designing a Sustainable Life, Integrating Work and Well-Being. Your ongoing recharge plan is the embodiment of that integration. It's not about a perfect 50-50 split, but about creating a life where your work fuels your life and your life replenishes your ability to work. It involves looking at the whole picture, your relationships, your health, your personal growth, and your career, and ensuring they are in a healthy balance.
So, this ongoing plan is a living, breathing document, then, not something set in stone.
Absolutely. Think of your ongoing recharge plan as your personal well-being operating system, constantly being updated and refined. It needs to be flexible. Life throws curveballs, and your plan needs to adapt. Episode 11 touched on building resilience and preventing relapse. That's a core part of your ongoing plan. It's about anticipating challenges and having strategies in place to navigate them without falling back into burnout.
So, when things get tough, instead of spiraling, we have a toolkit and a mindset to manage it better.
Exactly. Your ongoing plan is about continuous learning and adaptation. It's about being kind to yourself. There will be days when you falter. The key is not perfection, but persistence. It's about getting back on track quickly. It's about celebrating your successes, no matter how small.
This is so empowering, Alex. It's about taking ownership of our long-term well-being.
It truly is. So, to recap, your ongoing recharge plan is built on several pillars: consistent self-awareness and recognizing early warning signs, maintaining strong, healthy boundaries, actively incorporating true rest and rejuvenation beyond just sleep, regularly engaging in activities that bring you joy and reignite your passions, proactively managing your workload and ensuring your career aligns with your well-being, and importantly, integrating all these elements into a holistic, sustainable life.
It sounds like a continuous journey of mindful living.
That's a perfect way to put it, Lisa. This isn't a destination, it's a way of traveling through life. And as we wrap up this episode, remember that your ongoing recharge plan is your personal compass, guiding you toward a future of sustainable well being and fulfillment. Next episode, The Complete Recovery, a sustainable journey forward. Welcome back to Recharge Your Life. This is our 13th and final episode, where we'll wrap up our journey through beating burnout and building a sustainable future.
That's right, Alex. It's been an incredible journey. We started this series understanding that burnout is more than just feeling tired. It's a much deeper depletion of our physical, emotional, and mental resources. Remember how we talked about the roots of burnout not just being about workload, but often stemming from a lack of control, insufficient rewards, community breakdown, unfairness, a conflict of values, or a lack of confidence in our abilities.
Indeed, and that led us to the foundational steps of crafting our personalized burnout recovery blueprints. We emphasize that there's no one-size-fits-all solution, and that identifying your unique triggers and needs is the crucial first step. Think of it like building a custom house. You need a solid foundation, and that foundation is your self-awareness.
Absolutely. And following that foundation, much of our work was about taking action and actively recharging. We learned that setting boundaries isn't about saying no selfishly, but about protecting our energy reserves so we can show up fully for ourselves and others. That's a vital distinction.
And then we dove deep into the art of true rest. It's so much more than just catching up on sleep. We explored methods to truly replenish you. Picture this. If your energy is a battery, sleep is just plugging it into charge. But true rest involves activities that make you feel alive, creative, and peaceful.
Precisely. And that feeling of being alive ties directly into reigniting our passions and hobbies. When burnout hits, often the first things to go are the activities that bring us joy outside of work. Rekindling those sparks is like finding lost pieces of yourself.
Then, we shifted our focus to creating sustainable futures. We dedicated our efforts to designing fulfilling careers and mastering workload management. We learned that taking control of our tasks and priorities and finding meaning in our professional lives are essential components of a burnout-free existence. This isn't about working less, necessarily, but about working smarter and with more purpose.
And those principles extended beyond work into our entire lives. It's all about integration, weaving our work, relationships, and personal well-being into a harmonious whole. Remember the analogy of juggling? It's not about keeping every ball in the air perfectly all the time, but about understanding which balls are glass and which are rubber, and adjusting your grip accordingly.
That's a perfect way to put it, Lisa. And that leads us to the crucial steps for the long haul. Building resilience is like strengthening your immune system against potential future stressors. It's about developing coping mechanisms and a mindset that allows you to bounce back from challenges.
And your ongoing recharge plan is your roadmap for continued well-being. It's not a destination, but a continuous journey. This means regularly checking in with yourself, adapting your strategies as needed, and understanding that self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for sustained health and happiness.
So, here we are at the culmination of our series. We've journeyed from acknowledging the often hidden signs of burnout, delved into its complex roots, and meticulously built a framework for recovery. We've learned practical techniques for setting boundaries, finding genuine rest, and reigniting joy. We've strategized for sustainable careers and integrated our work into a balanced life. And we've armed ourselves with the tools to build resilience and maintain our well-being long-term.
It's about creating a life where you don't just survive, but truly thrive. A life where burnout is a chapter you've read, understood, and overcome, rather than a story that continues to unfold. The complete recovery we've discussed isn't about erasing the past, but about using what we've learned to build a resilient and fulfilling future.
This is about empowered action. It's about recognizing that you have the agency to shape your experiences. By understanding the principles we've covered, self-awareness, strategic action, boundary setting, intentional rest, passion pursuit, sustainable career and life design, and ongoing resilience building, you have the power to navigate challenges and maintain a state of optimal well-being.
So, as we conclude this series, remember that the journey doesn't end here. The tools and insights you've gained are meant to be integrated into your daily life. Regularly revisit your personalized recovery blueprint, be compassionate with yourself, and continue to prioritize your energy and well-being. It's about cultivating a consistent, sustainable practice of self-care and self-awareness.
This is your ultimate guide. A complete recovery from burnout means building a life that naturally supports your energy, your passions, and your peace. It's a life designed for longevity and fulfillment, where you feel energized, engaged, and in control. You've invested in yourself by listening, and now it's time to implement.
It's about moving forward with confidence, knowing that you have the capacity to handle what comes your way. This is the promise of a sustainable journey, a life beyond burnout.
Thank you for joining us on this comprehensive exploration of beating burnout. We've covered the awakening, the roots, the blueprint, the protocols, the boundaries, the rest, the passions, the career, the workload, the life integration, the resilience, and an ongoing plan. Now, you have the power to create your complete recovery.
And with that, our series, Recharge Your Life, Beat Burnout Complete Recovery, comes to a close. We've reached the end of our journey together.
Thanks for listening to the series.